Hello class, this is the last video on absolutism, in which I tackle the the issue of absolute monarchs versus parliament in England, and some of the examples of this power struggle between these two bodies. So the issue here is that post Elizabeth I, when Queen Elizabeth I dies in 1603, there's a continuing argument between the monarch and the parliament over financial power. Elizabeth I and the monarchs that come after this, they get involved in foreign wars, and there's always a battle over giving the monarchy more power or more money and power over the purse, so to speak. And so this is going to be the central issue in which James I, Charles I will battle Parliament over. With James I, he struggled with Parliament over money, and he also offended, the religious members, or the more religious members of Parliament, the Puritans, in which, these Puritans got their name because they wanted to purify the Church of England from anything that resembled the Catholic Church, and he offends them by not putting into place any major reforms that would purify or change the Church of England to get rid of anything that smacks of Catholicism. So James I, during his short reign as king, struggles over financial power with Parliament. When James I dies in 1625 and Charles I becomes king, this power struggle over money will continue. And so Charles I in 1625, he actually dissolves Parliament, or tells them to go home when they refuse to give him money for wars with Spain and France. And so, for 3 years, Parliament doesn't meet. He brings them back in 1628 because he needs more money. And so Parliament decides to compromise with Charles I in 1628. They will give him money if he signs this, what is known as the Petition of Right. This is going to limit the power of the king, and really making the king, give more power to Parliament in exchange for being able to get money to fight these wars. Charles I will sign this, but he then ignores it and dissolves Parliament and gets the money himself by imposing fines and fees on the English people. And Parliament does not meet again until 1642, when Charles I, once again needing money to fight these wars, will bring Parliament back. In 1642, civil war will break out between members of Parliament who oppose the power or the absolutism of the English monarch, and those who support Charles I and support the king. This civil war, the two sides that are fighting this civil war, the Cavaliers, these are the people that support Charles I, and the Roundheads. The Roundheads are the Puritan members of Parliament, the people who oppose the power of the king, and they are led by a man named Oliver Cromwell. The English Civil War will last from 1642 to 1649, and in 1649, the Roundheads, led by Cromwell, will defeat the king's forces. They will bring Charles I to trial. They will charge Charles I with treason, and they will behead Charles I. And in 1649, England does not have a king. In fact, from 1649 all the way until 1660, Oliver Cromwell will lead a more Republican form of government, in which the people have a larger say, and there is no monarch in England. For the first part of Cromwell's rule, there was a Republican form of government, but then towards the end, it turns into a military dictatorship, and by the time Cromwell dies in 1660. The English people are willing to reinstate the monarchy as head of the government in England. And so after Cromwell dies, Charles II, Charles I's son, is brought back, and the monarchy is reinstituted as head of the English government. This is known as the Restoration period, when you restore the English monarch as head of the government. So Charles II, the Restoration period, his brother will be next in line, and James II, he has some problems with the English Parliament because it is a Protestant country, and James II is seen as a Catholic sympathizer, and so with James II, you see these political battles and struggles occurring, and you actually see the rise of the first political parties in England: the Whigs, who oppose the power of the king, and the Tories, the more conservative element of Parliament, who support the king's or James II's power and decisions. Ultimately, James II will be overthrown in a bloodless revolution, or a bloodless coup, in which James II will be forced to abdicate or step down from the throne, and you see Parliament instate a dual monarchy, in which William of Orange, he's from Holland, so William and Mary will become Queen and King of England. This is known as the Glorious Revolution, this bloodless revolution in which James II is kicked out and William and Mary are brought in as dual monarchs of England. Now, when William and Mary are brought into power, the English Parliament will end the whole idea of the whole notion of absolutism, or having an absolute monarch in England, and they will put into place what is known as a constitutional monarchy with William and Mary, in which William and Mary will have to share power and will have their power limited by guidelines or rules and laws set out in this written document known as a constitution. And so William and Mary will have a limited power, and their power will be limited by a set of laws. In a sense, a constitution. Hence the name constitutional monarchy. In 1688, this will be solidified or put into writing when William and Mary are forced to sign the English Bill of Rights, which lists the things that the king or the monarchy can and can't do. This will be the basis of the American Bill of Rights when we have our revolution in the latter part of the 1700s. I hope these videos have been successful in allowing you to get the necessary notes and come to an understanding of what absolutism is or was, and some of the examples of absolutism at work in Europe during the 16 and 1700s.